to the media. No one's closer to college basketball than you. Is he putting too much pressure on his son now heading into the tournament in this one-and-done situation for UCLA?
Well, I don't think he is. I can see how other people might. What I've seen, it's no effect on Lonzo Ball, his son. The kid handles everything without even changing expression. He knows his dad. It doesn't seem to bother him one bit. It doesn't seem to bother Steve Alford at all. I don't think it's affected the team. It's just kind of the way the world is now. We've seen this before with Richard Williams or with Earl Woods or even at times with the Manning family in a different way years and years ago, where you've got prodigies as kids. But what makes this different is it's unabashed in the money-making side of it. So it's a little bit Kardashian and the athletic side.
I like that analogy.
Well, the Kardashians are pretty smart. They've made a lot of money off of putting themselves out there.
He's Kris Jenner, essentially.
Yeah, and he's put his kids out there and himself and his brand, and it's working because we're talking about it, everybody's talking about it, and it's really effective.
Stephen A?
Well, for me, I never liked it. The reason why I say that, and I'm certainly not here to disagree with the great Jay Billis. Honored to have you on the show, my man. No question. I love Jay. The thing about it, I'm not disagreeing. I'm simply adding a little something to it by saying this. My concern is not about how it affects Lonzo Ball, the player. My concern is how it may affect him in terms of the eye of the storm being on him microscopically, involving any little thing that happens off the court, because you bring so much attention to your son and to yourself in a way that is very put-offish, per se, in the eyes of a growing public, whereas they may not have anything to come at you for. They might use your son just to get at you. And we see people that are dishonest. We see people that create something out of nothing. We see people that do a lot of bad things, and they don't have any inhibitions about it, even if it involves kids, which I think is incredibly unfair. And that's my concern when it comes to Lonzo Ball, because he is a young man. He is a college student. He is at UCLA, in Westwood, in Los Angeles. You just never know what kind of situation you could find yourself in directly or indirectly. And it's all because LaVar Ball is talking the way that he's talking. It makes me concerned about somebody targeting his son in the wrong way. And I don't think that a parent should ever put their child in that position. I'm not questioning the man as a father. I'm sure he's a wonderful father. He seems to have wonderful kids and all of that other stuff. I'm just talking about from a public perception standpoint, because of the world that we're living in, the advent of social media and beyond, and the kind of things that could end up happening to a kid through no fault of his own, just because your father's running his mouth and put the eye of the storm on you. That's my concern.
Jay brought up Tiger Woods' daddy, the Williams sisters' daddy. You could bring up Kobe Bryant's daddy, Jelly Bean Bryant, right? You could bring up any father who was proud of their kids and announced it to the world that their kids were going to be next level great and change the world. And you know why we remember those fathers? Because their kids went out and did it. If Lonzo Ball balls, it's all good. If he doesn't, then his father looks stupid, right? And listen, LaVar Ball is a madman. This guy is a maniac. He's crazy. But that is the incubator from which Lonzo Ball, hatched. I mean, this is where this stuff doesn't bother him. This is the culture that he grew up in. And in terms of LaVar Ball being a madman, the daddy being a madman, part of that is probably the reason his sons are succeeding on the level at which they're succeeding, because he's not concerned with what can't be done. He's concerned with what can be done. And if you have a big imagination and you put in the work, of course, then who knows, right? And so I can't help but to get behind that, to root for it to happen, particularly when we all know the helicopter parent, a culture that really frowns upon that sort of thing, living vicariously through your children, putting the extra pressure on them. Generally, it's a bad idea. But the exception that proves the rule is always interesting, and I'm rooting for it.
I don't think he's crazy. I think LaVar Ball is smart. Now, he's not doing it in a way that's palatable to me. He's not doing things that I would do in a similar situation. He is writing checks that his kids are going to have to cash going forward. Now, there's going to be a lot of cash coming in, and that's what I think he's thinking. But I think when you look back at Richard Williams, a lot of people thought he was crazy at the time, too. And it turned out he was right. And later on, as
but Jay, you have to be a little crazy, right?
Well,
you have
yeah.
to be, I mean,
but I
smart
don't
and
think
crazy
it's crazy.
are not mutually exclusive.
I don't think it's crazy. I don't think crazy enters into it. I think it's calculated, and I think we're talking about two smart individuals here. And I don't want to discount that, because we are living in the age of the Kardashians where there is public marketing, and he has brought a lot of attention to this, and it's attention that is going to bring money behind it. But as his sons get older and they become their own men, which they all will, Lonzo Ball is already his own man, from what I have seen. I think it's going to be similar to what we saw with the Williams sisters. They are wonderful individuals and have proven so. And they've also proven that they're two of the, like Serena's the greatest that's ever played, and Venus is among the greatest that have ever played. But their father faded into the background, and we were left with what those two fine people are. I think that's what we'll be left with the Ball brothers, especially Lonzo, because he is the real deal. And the fact that this doesn't seem to bother him, I think, first of all, it's okay with me. But it doesn't bother him, and therefore it doesn't bother me. I'm really interested to see how he's going to do as a player, but he's going to rise or fall based upon his own ability.
The only thing
I want to make very clear, Jay. I want to make very clear. Crazy and smart are not mutually exclusive, and I understand what you mean about being calculated in terms of, amplifying the brand and thereby making more money. In that sense, yes, but I think you have to be a little crazy to have that kind of big imagination. Not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah, it's P.T. Barnum crazy. It's not unhinged. It's P.T. I'd say P.T. Barnum Kardashian.
Well, let's also keep in mind that even though when the Williams sisters, when their dad faded into the background, that was sort of forced because of the negativity that was aimed in their direction. Even while they were winning titles, everybody seemed to nitpick and seemed to find every little thing wrong with them. And it was considered to be residue from the kind of tension that their father had created. So at some point in time, somebody sent the message to them that you're being counterproductive, because even though you have the greatest of intent, it's having a negative impact on your little girls. And that was when he faded into the background. That's exactly what I'm speaking of.
We'll leave it there. Jay, appreciate the perspective. Very interesting comparisons. We got to let you go really quick. How far do you have UCLA going?
I've got them going to the Sweet 16.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
8 more hours to go. So you want more Jay? He's not going anywhere. Don't forget the ESPN Tournament Challenge is back, folks. The #1 bracket game. Head on over to ESPN.com/bracket or download the app to fill yours out. Brackets are open, so make those picks before they close Thursday at noon Eastern. Coming up, do the Cowboys have a big problem on their hands with an Ezekiel Elliott after a scandalous video hit TMZ yesterday? Some might think so. We'll tell you exactly how Dallas needs to handle this next. And the Patriots have 2 unsigned players who made incredible plays in their 2 most recent Super Bowls. So which one do they need more? Malcolm